as I mentioned in the introduction, Avery himself hails from Brighton, but he made the album whilst he was living in London. And funnily enough, he actually rented a shipping container down on the banks of the River Thames to make the album, which I don't know about you, but that kind of fits with maybe some of the industrial aesthetics that you can hear in the album.
Certainly, yeah.
One of the things that does make me laugh is whenever I've seen him speak about this record, he always says that he could see the financial district from whereabouts, where he was making the album.
So was he on the south bank of, not the south bank, but the south bank of the Thames, and then along a bit towards kind of East London? Or?
I think so.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it seems really strange to me, because when I think of Naive Response or Drone Logic or Free Floating, I'm not necessarily thinking about Canary Wharf or
Deutsche
HSBC.
Yeah.
But inspiration comes from everywhere, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, basically the genesis of the album itself was that Avery originally wanted to make some songs that Andrew Weatherall might have played at one of his A Love from Outer Space parties. So for those of our listeners that are unfamiliar with Weatherall, he was a legendary British musician that very sadly passed away earlier this year. He was a key DJ in the acid house era. He was also a successful producer in his own right. So I'm sure you've listened to Screamadelica by Primal Scream, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, as a remixer and a producer, he's like formidable, isn't he?
Yeah, that was probably his best known work. But are you familiar with his A Love from Outer Space parties? Were you familiar?
I wasn't. You mentioned this to me the other day. So there's something about the BPM you were saying.
Yeah. So it's basically it was him and another guy called Sean Johnston, and they'd play all night. But the main idea was that the BPM never went over 122. So it's quite slow by techno standards, but then, in Avery's words, really druggy and has a real pulse to it. And basically, before he started writing Drone Logic, he'd made Water Jump and another song, I think, to go on a fantasy EP. And he was really, really happy with what came out. Went down to Weatherall's studio on a Friday to give him the tracks, because there was a Love from Outer Space party that weekend. And apparently on Monday, he got a call from Weatherall saying these were the biggest tracks of the night. And I think as soon as he put the phone down, he knew he was making an album, and he knew that Water Jump was going to be on it. And if someone that you've looked up to your whole life, like Weatherall, has listened to your track once or twice and gives you that kind of endorsement, then it's probably a sign that you're heading in the right-ish direction.
Definitely.